Hey everybody, Alex here for Nerdy Inc. coming at you with another episode of Our Favorite Frontier, the only Star Trek podcast on the internet that's hosted by me and Nick. Hey Nick!
Hey Alex, how are you?
Today we are talking... Oh, I'm good. I didn't mean to...
What a
I'm good.
dick.
Today we are talking about the episode Haven.
Captain's log, stardate 41294.5. Our destination, the Class M Beta Cassius planet known simply as Haven. It is a world so renowned for its peaceful beauty that some believe it to have mystical healing powers. We will rest and relax. All too briefly, I fear.
Nick, what did you think of Haven?
Honestly, I would probably say it was the worst episode we've seen thus far.
And I'm gonna agree with you. I think it was.
It's very painful. Just the concept. I mean, we'll talk about it more, but just in brief, this is my first opinion. Just a concept about arranged marriage and like all that nonsense. Like you don't know who the husband is. I feel like it's been a played out thing in TV, movies, just all of entertainment. So just seeing another episode, especially this dull and boring, is kind of a huge turnoff.
Fair enough. But let's discuss the first elephant in the room here. This is the first appearance of Loxana Troy.
Wait.
The first appearance.
No.
Yes.
No. Oh, yep. Alex.
She shows up not only in, I think she shows up once a season, maybe more, in TNG. She even shows up in Deep Space Nine.
Ugh.
So would you like to know a little bit of background about this character, Loxana Troy? And it's fascinating to me why this character exists. The actress is Gene Roddenberry's wife.
Oh, of course it is.
Yep. But here's what's interesting to me about Loxana Troy. If you were to put your loved one, if you were in charge of a show and you wanted to put your girlfriend in it, what capacity would you put your girl? What role would you like her to play in your story?
You mean personally?
Yes. How would you like to portray your girlfriend to the world?
Well, if I want to, I would want to portray her in good light and not, some sort of conniving,
Slutty space
person.
MILF?
Yeah, slutty space MILF is a great way to put it. But again, maybe he wanted to write like her a character that she could be outside of who she was.
I guess.
A lot of people like to act differently than who they are.
True.
Like I don't think Anthony Hopkins, enjoys that he'll always be known as a cannibal serial killer. But I'm sure he does enjoy doing that role because it's something that he is not.
Fair enough. But my God, is she annoying?
Oh, it's bad.
I will say she does get a hair better as the show goes on. She's used in less antiquated things, but she does continue to stay annoying.
I found the telepathic communication extremely just annoying.
Mm-hmm.
It was like, we get it. You guys can speak through telepathy, but like you don't have to. And then sometimes they wouldn't, but then they would go right back to it. And
yeah.
It's like do one or the other, and please just do the other.
Yep. Side note, also real quick, to any Twin Peaks fans out there, Mr. Hum, Loxana's giant manservant, is also the giant in the first half of Season 2. He's the giant in Twin Peaks Season 2. But that's besides the point, just a fun little Twin Peaks fact. So, one of the things I hate about this episode, besides everything, is I hate how it regurgitates the awkward Season 1 non-romance between Riker and Deanna. Because Riker just acts like a pouty little toddler the whole episode.
Mm-hmm.
So that really bothered me.
Is that something that doesn't come through in later seasons, or
their relationship gets a little more not shitty in later seasons.
Yeah, but like they're doing this awkward thing, and they won't there's no explanation of what they've had or what is going on currently.
Yeah, it does. Riker's romance gets a little more. Riker and Deanna's relationship gets a little more not. It gets a little more normal as the show progresses. But right now, there's this weird like, what is their history? Clearly, they were together at some point. What's the word they use? Imzadi? Ismadi? I just hiccuped. It's whatever that dumb Betazoid word is. That means my beloved. Now, you texted me when you were watching this episode saying that Data is your favorite character.
Yes.
Was there anything in this episode that made you like him, or is it just sort of in general?
It's just that lately, now that I'm kind of understanding, like he's an android who's trying to figure out humanity. I was getting kind of irritated at the point where I was like, he's an android, he should know everything. But I don't know if they programmed them the capabilities to not know emotions and stuff, but he just knows knowledge and fact. So I find it funny how he interacts with people. Like when there's the argument at the dinner table and he says, no, keep going. I find this to be amusing. See, like that is like kind of why I like him, because now I understand that he just doesn't understand humanity, and the more he observes it, the more he questions it.
Well, if that's what you like about Data, I have good news for you, that you are only going to love him more and more as the show goes on.
Okay. I'm very happy about that.
Data is my second favorite character overall.
So let's talk about some logistics. Just
Okay.
in party planning in general.
Sure.
There's a wedding about to happen on the ship,
Yep.
and no one notifies no one about it. What kind of person plans a wedding and doesn't even notify the venue?
I think there was a little bit of confusion because I think that Steve Miller wanted the wedding to be in real life on the ship, but Loxana Troy wanted it on the planet. And so I don't think anyone informed. I think there was some lines crossed about where it was supposed to be, the wedding.
No, did anyone let the Enterprise know?
Oh no, not at all.
That's what I'm saying. Like, you don't contact the venue before you start the wedding. Before you have the wedding, you
Yeah,
invite
no,
all these people. They have nowhere to stay. They didn't even figure out catering.
Yeah, they just showed up and like, hey, abracadabra, make a wedding happen.
Yeah, just room my parents, room my mother. We're having a wedding on this ship, and we didn't let anyone know about it. And she didn't even freaking know about it. She didn't even know about the wedding.
Here's another thing. Sorry. Yeah, the wedding announcement. The wedding announcement that this was about to happen was the stupidest fucking thing I've ever seen in my entire life. I remember a good chunk of this episode when I was rewatching it. I was like, oh, I remember this episode. I forgot about this dumb fucking thing where this fucking suitcase with a face just like pops out. He's like, hey, everybody, wedding time, and then just vomits up a bunch of jewels on the floor, and then we're all just supposed to accept that.
I thought I was having a fever dream.
Yeah, and that was one of the I was watching it on the subway, and I was like, what's happening? I don't remember any of this. Yeah, no, that was a
I had
degree
to
of
stop for a
insanity.
good 5 minutes because I was contemplating just quitting this whole thing entirely after that.
Yeah, that was nuts. So Steve Miller shows up with his son and wife, and his son has the personality of a wet paper towel, and he's drawing and has these visions of this other woman. And he's upset because he thought that Deanna Troi was going to be that woman, and he's like, oh, okay. And it turns out this other woman is a Talarian, that they've somehow been having this shared dream about each other from across the galaxy, but they're diseased, and he's gonna go cure them because he's a doctor. It's just stupid.
Yeah, typical star-crossed lover type
Literally
stuff.
star-crossed lovers. Their love is across the stars.
And also talk about a wet towel with her. She's got nothing going for her.
Yeah, they're both like.
They're both super 80s with their hair, and they're gonna, have a great time being sick and stuff together.
Part of me would love to have been a fly on the wall when they were shooting that episode, because they both mainly the guy, because the girl was only in it for a couple minutes, but the guy was in the whole episode. And what was his name? Wyatt. And it was like, what direction was he given? Because he's like this meek little gym sock of a man who's just not. He's like, what is his character supposed to be? And like, what direction was he given? Just say, hey, just act like a little piece of shit that no one cares about.
Well,
It's like they wanted him to just be shitty.
Well, not for anything, but one, I'm still having trouble remembering the girl. Who's the girl that the episode was about? What's her name?
Deanna Troy.
Deanna. See, she has been so irrelevant for the past 10 episodes that
Yes.
to have an episode centered on her, I understand what their point was. Like, oh, let's have everyone have an episode about them, kind of show a little bit into their lives. But I mean, I don't care about this character, so why should I care about their wedding traditions, or their family, or their backstory, or anything? Honestly, because she, to me, is not really much of a character there, besides someone to look at.
You hit that nail right on the head. You hit that nail right on the head.
I certainly hope that she becomes a character. I mean, if they're giving her this much time in this episode, like, we'll have someone to actually, be like, hey, like, remember we saw that backstory, and like, this is what her life and her culture is all about. But honestly, I don't give a shit.
Yeah, she's a frustrating character for 100 different reasons, and she stays frustrating for the first two seasons for sure. First season for sure. She ends up being used in creative ways a little bit later on, just because her being partially telepathic, or empathic, as they say. They do find some good uses for that here and there, as well as her being sort of the psychiatrist slash therapist for the ship. She is useful on occasion, but for the first season, she's just eye candy.
It's just like we have.
For.
It's like we have we have enough characters. It was like they felt like they made too many characters when they made all the main characters. And I don't know if that was Gene wanting all these characters in there, or the writers wanting all these characters in there, but they had nothing to write for half of them. Like, did you notice that Worf wasn't even in the episode?
Yep, I did actually. Worf, as well as, I mean, thank God, but Wesley wasn't there either.
Wesley Crusher.
We can be happy about that.
And like LaForge barely had any lines. It was just a waste of time.
Speaking of our characters and their roles, let's go back to our recurring segment called Who's the Captain of this ship?
It didn't even freaking matter. There was nothing that really happened for anyone to be a captain of any ship. If anything, it was Wyatt. Wyatt was the only one who did anything with dignity in that episode, where he teleported to the other ship and cured those people.
Yeah.
That was it. He is the captain. He's the captain of this episode. Because he was the only one who did something.
Picard did just a wee bit of captainly duties, which was just the hospitality aspect of it. Meet the people in the transporter, show them to their quarters, talk to them, host a dinner. But he had one line that I thought was just hysterical, which was, as we know, Gene Roddenberry's idea was there are no personal conflicts in the future. And so that at the first dinner scene where Mr. Hom is getting hammered in the back and Data's just watching him, and then all of a sudden this argument breaks out about the wedding. And it seems like there's no real, there's some very basic fundamental conflicts between Steve Miller's wife and Lwaxana Troi. And Picard walks up to him and says, "Now I'm the captain of this ship, and there are no conflicts permitted. I consider the issue resolved." You can't just say the problem is resolved.
Because there was a fundamental argument about what culture the wedding's going to be, which obviously is it's a dynamic that you've seen a million times. Like, oh, you're marrying someone Jewish? We're going to have a Jewish wedding. No, we're going to have a Catholic wedding. Like,
yeah, my Big Fat Greek Wedding is a whole movie about it.
Yeah, so like we didn't need this. I know Big Fat Greek Wedding came out 20 years after that, but
well, yeah, but Yeah, but it was just funny to be that Picard's just like, yeah, it's problem solved. How? You just said don't fight about it. He's
Yeah,
like,
don't fight about the biggest thing in their lives.
Yeah, so that was a comical line, and like they clearly wanted Picard to be the diplomat who solves problems, but he didn't solve the problem. He just said the problem is solved. So that was yeah. I had a couple good laughs this episode. That was one of them.
Also, first scene of the episode, they're talking about this planet they're coming across, and it's a perfect planet. And I was like, how many times are you gonna say that?
Yes.
Every planet's perfect, isn't it? And also, just another weird thing at the beginning. Why is Riker just watching two girls play harps?
Oh my god!
Like that's entertainment.
Yeah, they were just like serenading him, and like that's
like, I'll
the
see you guys later. Like, do you ever talk to your TV when you're getting up?
Yeah, that's exactly what I did actually on the subway today when I was watching Star Trek. I had to pause it and be like, "Ah, don't worry, Enterprise. I'll get back to you in a moment." Yeah, no, it was I'm really glad you brought that up because I forgot about that. Speaking of worthless, meaningless characters, Tasha Yar is here. She's there when the talking suitcase man shits out the diamonds, and she's like, "Wow, these are beautiful diamonds." To the point where I thought she was just gonna like take the money and run, but she's just sort of there just to. I don't know why she's there. She doesn't do anything the whole episode.
I mean, not to get on anyone's nerves or anything, but this is made in the 80s. It was a wedding episode. I honestly think she was there just to be another woman there. And that's I mean, not to be disrespectful to anything, but this was made 30 years ago. That was the mindset of stuff.
Yeah, they wanted a girl there.
And no guy's gonna be like, "Oh, look at these jewels! Like these are beautiful." No, not in 1980s.
Yeah. Oh, what do you think of? Because this, I hate to say this, but this comes back again in a future episode. What do you think about the Betazoid tradition of being naked for your wedding?
I just think it was just like, I get it, I suppose, but like, don't beat it to death. Like they're like, "Oh, this is hilarious. They have to be naked. Let's bring it up every pretty much fifth line after it was brought up initially."
Yeah, and our slutty space MILF character, Loxana Troy, always likes to point out that people will see her naked and that she will see them naked, like it's some weird like Swingtown shit. But she's basically like, "Oh, don't worry, you look fine, but your husband wants to see me naked."
That was an awkward scene too, because she had that plant animal that strangled the Mrs. Miller.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Who what? It's just a vine. It's not a lot. Like, what? Do you like pets? And then a vine attacks her arm. Yeah.
I love how that was not set up at all. It was not set up at all that she has a sentient vine animal wrapped around her sleeve. Like, it'd be one thing if she said, like, when her and Mr. Hom showed up and they said, like, "Oh, be careful with that be careful with that suitcase. I have my pet in there." And then Picard's like, "Oh, I'll be careful." And but like all of a sudden she's just like, "Oh, by the way, here's a space vine pet." And it's just everything sucked.
And then never brought up again. I would just say this is painful, and I can't believe I'm not getting money for this.
I know. Don't worry.
If you guys like to sponsor this so I can continue to watch this show, because I have to get paid for it now. I cannot do this. We're taking all the sponsors right now.
Yep. So, any closing thoughts?
Does it get better from here?
I mean, obviously the show does get better. Let me see what's the next episode. I'm looking at it right now. The next episode is called The Big Goodbye. And I think it's one of the better ones.
Ugh, I don't like the question mark on the end of it.
Well, I'm saying that because I'm scrolling through the Wikipedia. Oh, so gave the episode an A grade. Okay, so maybe next episode's good.
All right. I'm ready for it.
Oh, someone else gave it a B minus. Okay, well, it's not a fucking F, so. Well, let's hope the next episode's better. That's the best we can do right now.
You know, I've never seen this. You have seen this. That's the premise of this podcast. You should know if the episode's good. I'm just here along for the ride.
Well, that's true. I don't have. I tried to block a lot of season 1 out of my memory. Don't worry.
Well, I see why.
Literally, I know there's a couple episodes in season 2 I'm really excited for. Season 3 is gonna hit, and everything's gonna be great. We got a Who's Watching the Watchers. We've got Sins of the Father. We've got Best of Both Worlds. Season 3 is gonna be great. Season 2 is gonna be better. We just gotta power through season 1.
Slowly but surely, but I'll do it.
Yep. So, that's it for this episode, you guys. If you've enjoyed, like, comment, subscribe, all that good stuff is much appreciated, and we will see you next time.
Bye-bye.
Our Favorite Frontier is hosted by Alex Russo and Nick Caladona, edited by Alex Russo, and produced by Nerdy Inc. Be sure to follow us on YouTube to catch all of our videos, as well as like us on Facebook, Twitter, and whatever other social media we have.